And I'm going to be talking about some things over the next 30 minutes that some of you might find very provocative. Some of you might find them eye-opening. Some of them you might find uncomfortable. But it doesn't really matter, because ultimately the world, marketing and dealing with people not like you, it's about dealing with the world the way the world is, not the way you want it to be. So we've changed. We've all heard the expression that America's a melting pot, right? We've all heard that expression. Well, we're actually not a melting pot anymore, and we're never going to be a melting pot again. We're a salad bowl. Let me explain the analogy. America is a melting pot is an expression that was coined in the early 1900s to describe what was happening to the United States relative to immigration. We had a huge wave of immigrants from all over the world, but particularly from Europe. Ireland, Italy, Poland, Germany. Many of your ancestors and mine came through Ellis Island, got processed as new arrivals, and the idea was that no matter who you were or where you were from, we threw you into one pot, we simmered away the differences, and everybody kind of came out the same, Americanized. Well, today, most organizations, society, and business in general recognize that diversity is a progressive mindset. We don't all have to look the same, be the same, dress the same, or come from the same backgrounds. So when you look at a salad, there's not one single element of a salad that can be mistaken for anything else. The tomato does not look like the radish doesn't look like the cucumber does not look like the avocado, and so on. Every element is distinctive. And most of us would agree that the more and different stuff you put into a salad, the better the salad gets. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you. Yeah. Now, 1 in 3 people now in the United States is not white. 1 in 3. So the census has been tracking this thing called the diversity index for the last few decades, and quite simply, and you're all numbers people, so this is super simple, all it means is if I grab any 2 people at random anywhere in the country, what's the likelihood that those 2 people will be of different races or ethnicities? So back in 1980, if I grabbed any 2 people at random anywhere in the country, I had a 34% probability that those 2 people were going to be of a different race or ethnicity. In other words, I had a 66% probability that they were going to be the same race, that being white, because white is the predominant race in the United States. But look how fast it's changed. In just 3 decades, we've gone from a 34% probability to a 52% probability. So today, it's statistically more likely that any 2 people selected at random anywhere in the country are actually going to be of different races or ethnicities. This is not a fad. This is a trend. And I'm going to talk a little bit about fads and trends in a bit. But I urge you as professionals to not pay attention to fads, but do pay attention to trends. And the difference between a fad and a trend is fads come and go, like fashion. Trends don't come and go. Trends are shifts, and that is a very clear shift. So 4 states, plus the District of Columbia, now have what we call minority-majority populations. A minority-majority is exactly what the name sounds like. When you add all minority groups up together, Black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, and other, they're collectively larger than the white population, and that's already the case in these 4 states, plus in the District of Columbia. And that also means that we have more multiracial Americans than ever before. So before I go any further on this, is this just not the most photoshopped picture you've ever seen of Mariah Carey in your life? She doesn't even remotely look like that anymore. Anyway, so if you're Mariah Carey or you're Tiger Woods and the census is asking you what race are you, you know, what box do you check? They don't fit neatly into one little category. If I'm not mistaken, Mariah Carey is Black, white, and Hispanic, and Tiger is Black, white, and Asian. Well, multiracial Americans are about 22 million. That may not seem like a lot, but it is a 7%, full 7% of the U.S. population now. And it's also a population that has increased 25% in the last decade. The total population only increased by 9%. So, the percentage of whites is at the same time declining. Not the number of whites, the percentage of whites. As you know, because you're numbers people, all populations grow numerically in size. But I'm talking about composition. Whites have dropped from 69% of the population to 63% in the last 10 years. That's a huge drop. Whites are also aging fast. Whites are the only racial and ethnic group with a median age that's now over 40. All other racial and ethnic groups have a median age under 40. And here's the kicker. Whites will be the minority by the year 2041. Now, that may seem like that's a long way away, but it's 25 years from now. I know these numbers like the back of my hand. I do this presentation about 75 times a year. But if you would have asked me just 5 years ago, Kelly, in your lifetime, Do you think that you're going to live to see whites become the minority? 5 years ago, I would have answered that question, no. Not because I don't think that day is coming, but because I would have thought 5 years ago that I won't live to see that day. I won't live long enough. Well, I'm 54, that's 25 years from now, assuming I can make it to 79, and I'm pretty sure there's good odds on that, I will live to see that day. And so will all of you. Because I can look around this room and I can see that everybody here is my age, give or take 20 years. So, people not like you. This session's called Marketing and Selling to People Not Like You. I don't like the D word, diversity. I don't use it very much. I find that people have a really narrow definition of diversity. They immediately go to racial and ethnic diversity, and that's super important, but I don't think that's the only way we can be diverse. My definition of diversity is actually much broader. Any way you can be different from me. Right? So, do you have children? No. Great. 99% of the time that works, but this time it didn't. Okay, thank you. I need a woman with a kid. Okay, great. So, this woman here has a child. I don't have children. All right? We're both white. Let's just say we're the same age. You know, she's younger. Let's just say we live in the same zip code. Let's say we make the same household income. By all of these demographic standards, we're the same gender, same age, same race, same zip code, income, all that stuff. We would be the same, but you know and I know that if you've got kids and I don't, we're going to be different in every way that really matters. So again, my definition of diversity is any way you can be different from me. Here's my list. Men are different from women, right? That really is true. Women use something like 20,000 more words a day than men. You thought it was true, it's actually true. Religion, what about that? You know, there's a way that we can truly be different from each other. Political views, and I'm not just saying this because we're in a political cycle right now. This is obviously a way we can be different from one another. Age and generational differences, no doubt that somebody who's Gen X or Gen Y is very different than a boomer. LGBTQ, and I just want to use this opportunity to explain what the Q means, because a lot of people ask me. It means questioning, or it stands for questioning. Physical abilities, mental abilities, emotional abilities. What about rural versus metro? Who would know this better than a community bank, right? Someone who lives in a loft in Manhattan is very different than someone who lives on a ranch in West Texas. Military civilian, there's two totally different worlds. And the races, folks, and there are only 5. Everyone on the planet falls into one of these 5 races. Everything else is either a label or a term. Not necessarily a bad thing, but these are the correct races. White, black, Asian, Native American, Pacific Islander. There's no such race as Caucasian. There's no such race as Anglo or African American. Those are terms, and like I said, they're not bad or good or anything. They're just not the correct terms for races. Ethnic and linguistic. Hispanic is not a race, it's an ethnicity. Or what if you're from India? If you're from India, then your race is Asian and your ethnicity is Indian. Nativity. I think somebody who's foreign-born would look at the world and the United States with a very different lens than someone who's U.S.-born. Life stage. A new mom or a new dad is in a totally different place than somebody who's a retiree or a college student or an empty nester. Obviously, lifestyle and affluence. And even core values. You know, if you take that plastic bottle of water that you're drinking and when you finish with it, you toss it into the recycling bin, that is a simple action that you're taking. But it tells me something about you. It maybe tells me something about your values. You know, you're just trying to do your part. I'll put it in the recycling bin versus the trash. So, how do you understand somebody who's not like you? I will never know what it is like to be a guy, a man. I do not know what it is like yet to be 80 years old. I don't know what it's like to be black, Hispanic, Asian, or Native American. I don't know what it's like to live on a farm. I don't know what it's like to own a dog. I don't know what it's like to be in the military. These are things I don't know. But I promise you that that doesn't mean that I couldn't meaningfully connect with someone who does these things, has these things, or is these things. The way that you connect with somebody not like you is to understand that what makes you you is not the color of your skin or the shape of your eyes. It's usually your priorities, your values, and the experiences that define you. That's what makes you you, and all of that shapes perspective. And perspective is never wrong. Your perspective is never wrong. Your boss's perspective is never wrong. Your customer's perspective is never wrong. Your spouse's perspective is never wrong. It's how you see the world. How can it be wrong? It's kind of like your opinion. I might respectfully disagree with your opinion or perspective. I might respectfully offer you an alternative perspective for your consideration, but I can't tell you you're wrong. It's the way you see things, right? So try this exercise sometime. When asked the exact same question, different people will answer in entirely different ways based solely on their perspective. When asked to name how Kennedy died, matures and baby boomers are going to say a gunshot wound in Dallas, right? Gen X will say a plane crash near Martha's Vineyard. And Gen Y will say Kennedy who? All right, sorry, that's a little levity at the expense of the wires. Let's try this one. Who's Ron Howard? If you are of a certain age, you're going to say Opie, right? If you're a baby boomer like me, you're likely to say Richie from Happy Days. And if you're Gen X or Gen Y, you are likely to say an award-winning director. You see, everybody knows who Ron Howard is. The only thing that changes here is perspective, because he's all of these things. None of these are right or wrong. Every one of these is valid. So, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about 8 strategies for marketing and selling to people not like you. The first one is be relevant. Be relevant. That sounds really basic and really simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Give people what they want. That's a simple concept, but not easy. Those two things are not the same. Simple and easy aren't the same. The simplest exercise in the world is the push-up. You lay on the ground and you push yourself up. It doesn't get any simpler than that. You don't need any gear. You don't need to go to a special place like a gym or a class to do it. You don't need to do it with a group. You don't need any special clothing. You lay on the ground and you push yourself up. It's incredibly simple, but it's not easy. So this is a simple concept, but I'm not suggesting that it's easy. Here's an example of figuring out what people want and giving it to them. And I don't mean to be sexist, but I'll direct this to the women in the group, because we shop more than men, and that's just a fact. Ladies, do we all agree that Target rocks? Does anybody think that Kmart rocks? Okay, right. So, it's not just us. Kmart is closing stores all across the country. They're not doing well. Target is doing well. So, as a marketing professional, I've looked at this and gone, why? Why? What is the magic that Target has? Target, right? We love that place, right? I believe it's because Target figured out what we really want. And what we really want is not cheap merchandise. What we want is style on a budget. Right, ladies? Just because I'm on a budget doesn't mean I don't have good taste, right? So if you say to me, cute tank top, Kelly, I'm like, I know, $12, Target. I'm bragging about how little I spent because they give me value with dignity. Now imagine this. Cute tank top, Kelly, I know, $12, Kmart. No way. It's got Kmart juice on it. No way. And that leads me, value with dignity, leads me to ask you, and this is one of the hardest things you'll ever do when it comes to figuring out your own brand, is figure out your fab. And I don't mean your fabulousness. I mean fab means features, attributes, and benefits. Let me give you an example. My car has a feature that's called Bluetooth. That's a feature of my car. The attribute of Bluetooth, what it is or what it does, is hands-free technology. Right? I can talk without using my hands to hold my phone. I don't care about that, nor do I care about Bluetooth. What I care about is the benefit, which is safety. With my Bluetooth in my car, I can call Win and I can keep both hands on the wheel, and that is a safer experience. Most people make the mistake in marketing of marketing their features or their attributes when all the consumer really cares about is the benefit. Also, tap into values. I promise you that if I can figure out what you value, I can figure out how to get into your wallet. And I can figure out how to get into your heart and your mind, because people spend money on what they value. So here's some things that almost everybody values. I mean, you'd have to be crazy not to value these things. Local businesses. And even if you're part of a large bank, I believe you're still local. Because you know what? You're hiring local people. You're using local suppliers and vendors. You're part of a local community. I believe all businesses are local. They may be big, but everybody's local. And in green and environmentally friendly. Even if you're just recycling paper at the office, let people know that on your website. Let them know that you're the good guys. Women, here's just a quick insight on women's values. Women do more research online than any other consumer group, and one of the things that we really love is testimonials from other women. We trust what other women say, even if we don't know those other women. I don't know why, but we do. So, no, it's really true. Like, if I'm going to buy a bedspread on Macy's.com, and I go to buy that bedspread, and I'm this close to hitting click order, and then all of a sudden I read the reviews, and I see that Jennifer B. in Minneapolis didn't like the bedspread. because the blue wasn't quite as pictured. Well, hold on just a second here. I'm not buying that thing, right? Because Jennifer B. said it wasn't good. Recognize different needs. Speaking of Macy's, even the largest companies recognize that we're not one size fits all. So Macy's, is the largest department store that we have in the United States. Even their stuff varies by region. If you go to Salt Lake City and you go to Macy's, you're going to find a larger selection of large, oversized cookware in Salt Lake City than anywhere else. Because Salt Lake City is home to one of the largest Mormon populations in the United States. A key tenet of Mormonism is larger family sizes as a whole, and another key tenet of Mormonism is eating family meals together. So if you have a family of 6 or a family of 8, it's going to be a whole lot easier to make scrambled eggs in a large oversized skillet than in a small one. If you go to Atlanta, in Atlanta, that is home to one of the largest black populations in the United States and one of the most devout church-going populations. You will find a larger selection of women's church hats than any place else. Macy's sells church hats everywhere, but in Atlanta, you're going to find a larger selection of them. Even companies like Burger King adjust their menu. And just a quick aside, I did the keynote for the Burger King franchise meeting last year. They thought it was hysterical that my last name is McDonald. Seriously. We got Kelly McDonald. Yeah, that's hysterical. So I'm up after the president, and the president at Burger King is talking about where their business is focused, and it's focused on 2 things, chicken and breakfast. But even with chicken and breakfast, in New York, their breakfast sandwich is served on bagels, and in Birmingham, that same sandwich is served on biscuits. So you see where I'm going here. Even the largest companies just tweak their product or services just a little bit to give people what they want. Sometimes it's not the what, sometimes it's the how. It's not church hats or biscuits. Sometimes it's the how. My 78-year-old mother loves to go to the bank. Loves it. Loves it. Does not feel that this is an imposition. She wants to talk to Betty the teller. She wants to hand Betty her check and watch her deposit it, right? Because if she can see it, it's real, right? So it would make her very uncomfortable if I suggested to her that she do a mobile deposit on a smartphone. She doesn't even have a smartphone. But if she did, that would make her very uncomfortable. She'd be like, how do you know it went through? Right? Somebody who's 25 years old would see no reason to go into a bank. In this case, the product or service is the same, your account. It's the way you're accessing it that's different. And you can't tell my mom she's wrong, and you can't tell a 25-year-old that they're wrong either. People need what they need. Use consumer insights. There's a lot of information out there, folks, on the web that's free for you about consumer insights. But let me give you a couple of free ones here. Selling to women. Women love having expansive choices. We want to see all of our options. We are not overwhelmed when we have lots of choices. It's kind of the opposite. We feel empowered. I can look at 175 different colors of blouses, and I know I want the tangerine one. And I'm 100% confident in that decision because I looked at all 175, and that's the one I want. Men, on the other hand, men want their choices simplified. I'm sorry, you guys, there's a reason your clothes only come in 3 colors. Black, navy, khaki. Look at you. Seriously, it's unbelievable. And I'm making a joke about black, navy, khaki, but the reality is, and this is real science, the magic number for men is 3. The magic number for men is 3. You, sir, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry? Chocolate. He can choose. I may not have offered him his favorite flavor. Maybe his favorite flavor is mint chocolate chip or butter pecan river, but when just given 3, he can choose. Let's try another one, shall we? Blonde, brunette, redhead. Careful. Anyway. So, here's the fun fact. Men buy more electronics than any other consumer group. That's a fact. Men buy more electronics, more flat screens, more tablets, more phones, more cameras, more stuff than any other consumer group. Haven't you ever noticed that when you go shopping for electronics, or pay attention to this on Black Friday this year, that all of the pricing is done in groups of 3? Even stuff that is not electronics, that is heavily marketed to men, like tires, is done in groups of 3. Why? Because it works. So here's how you would use these insights. If you are selling or marketing to a woman, you would say, here's all the different plans that we have. Here's all the different options of products or whatever. You'd lay it all out for her. And if it's a guy, you'd say, our 3 most popular products are this. Our 3 newest products are this. If a guy wants more information, he'll ask, but you'd be amazed how far you're going to get if you just do that. Pay attention to trends, but not to fads. Mass is out and customization is in. I don't care if you like McDonald's or you hate McDonald's. I understand they're a polarizing company, but watch them. Because as a global company and one of the largest brands in the world, they rarely make mistakes. By the time they bring something to market, it's pretty well vetted, and it's pretty much assured that it's going to be successful. So this is a company that has based its entire business model on mass, right? Mass. They make food 2 months ago, and then they put it on a truck. I'm not kidding. They put it on a truck, they send it to a franchisee, that franchisee puts it in the freezer, and then when you go up and order combo number 1, they microwave it for you. Yummy. Yeah. So, what McDonald's has found out is that Gen X and Gen Y are shunning the whole fast food experience. They're like, I don't want to eat that stuff. And you know what? Gen X and Gen Y then aren't bringing their kids. So they're not only losing a generation, they're losing 2 or 3 generations. So they are trying something new. They are trying kiosks and customized sandwiches. I go up and I order and I get a chicken sandwich, and the first thing it asks is, what kind of bread do you want? And there's like 8 different choices. Ciabatta, challah, white, sourdough, rye, whole wheat. Then you pick a chicken sandwich, crispy, fried, grilled, whatever. By the time you're done, this is a 7-minute proposition and a $9 sandwich. That's a lifetime in their industry. Oh, and by the way, they're also testing guacamole. Why? Because that is a proof point for freshness. If you've ever made guacamole, then you know that once it's exposed to air, it turns brown. So the very fact that you can even have guacamole on your menu is proof that it's fresh, that it wasn't made 2 months ago. Watch them. And customization isn't just cool, it lifts business. For 6 straight years in this country, soft drinks have been on the decline. 6 straight years. We have a lot of choices. I don't even really have to drink a soft drink anymore. If I do, I can have an Arizona iced tea or a Red Bull or whatever, right? So that changed, 6 years of steady decline, when Coke created the Names campaign last summer. We all saw this. Who doesn't want to see their name on a can of Coke or a bottle of Coke? That's pretty cool. They started off with all the normal traditional names like Michael and David and Mary and Sarah and stuff. And then what they found is that people were writing into them and saying, I want to see my name, but my name is Julia spelled Giulia, or my name is Arav. And Coke started soliciting this and saying, tell us what your name is, we'll make you a can. Because everybody should be able to see their name on a can. So if your name is Bort, you have a can. Then they started really having fun with it. They started actually soliciting this. What's your name? Look at all the ways you can spell Abby, or all the derivatives of Abby. And then they really started having fun with it. This thing kind of took on a life of its own. And at the holidays last year, you know, Donner and Prancer and Blitzen, etc. And if this doesn't move you, then you have no soul. So here's the deal. Nothing else changed. They didn't change the product. They didn't change the distribution. The only thing that they changed was customization. And for the first time in 6 years, not only was the decline halted, it was reversed. And social is absolutely everything. This is another big trend. I'm not talking social media. I'm talking about just our desire to stay socially connected. So we have this desire. So is there anything in the whole world that is less social than doing business with a vending machine? No, you go up, you put your money in, you swipe, you know, it gives you gum or candy or whatever. So what's your name? Dick. I'm going to call you Mike. So Pepsi's trying to change this with the Pepsi social vending unit. So I'm going to go up and I put my $2 in and I get my Diet Pepsi, and the next question that it asks is, do you want to send your friend a drink? Yeah! I totally want to send my friend Dick a drink. Oh my gosh, what a great idea. You know what, he's having a bad week. I'm going to send him a little Kelly love, let him know I'm thinking about him, you know, make his day a little brighter. And because Dick and I are friends, I've got his phone number in my phone. I'll swipe, I'll put in $2 for Dick, and I've put his phone number into the Pepsi social vending unit, and shazam, he gets a text that says, hi Dick, Kelly sent you a gift. Use this code to redeem at the nearest Pepsi social vending unit. How cool is that? Turning something social, turning something that was not even human or social into something that's completely social. Here's another one. new products that are being created just to help us drive our social connectivity. I want you to think about the shape of your umbrella that's in your car, what that umbrella looks like when it's open. Think about that. So the umbrella hasn't changed in hundreds of years until now. Now we have this. What do you need that for? So you can do this. All right? Because Lord knows that Dick and I are not going to stop texting just because it's raining. Right? What about this one? Remember, trends, not fads. Selfie sticks. I know, everybody groans, right? You're like, dork, okay? You think this is the dorkiest thing in the world until you have one. So this is my go-to gift now. I got one as a gag gift a couple years ago, and now whenever I want to get my friends a gift, I get them a selfie stick. And it is the greatest thing ever. But don't get a cheap one. Get the good ones for about 39 bucks. Don't get some cheap one. So, quick selfie 101, because we all take selfies. So I'm just going to digress here for 1 second, just give you guys a little free consulting here. Quick selfie 101. The women already all know this, okay? So it's really for you guys. If you want to make yourself look hideous in a selfie, there's only one thing you have to do. And that is hold that phone down here and look down, okay? Right? You're going to have 80 chins. You're going to look like you're 5,000 pounds overweight. I mean, seriously, my husband and I am on the road a lot, so we try to, like, stay in touch, you know? And so, like, we, like, Skype and stuff like that. And he has yet to get this. He'll be like, hi, baby. And I'm like, oh, God! No! Anyway, if you want to make yourself look hideous, look down. That's not a flattering angle. If you want to make yourself look amazing, I don't mean good. Amazing. All right? This is all you do. Ladies, the women know this. All right? It's not just out, it's out and up, right? And then here's the advanced class. Circle for light. Oh yeah, boom, there it is, right? It's always one really amazing light angle. So here's the deal. There's something amazing about this angle. The higher you go, the better you look. All right? I am not a skinny girl, but if you friend me on Facebook, you're going to go, oh my God, she looks 30 pounds lighter than she actually is, because I know how to take a great selfie. All right? So, you look taller, you look skinnier, somehow you look smarter. Everything is better at this angle, okay? The problem is I'm only 5'7". My arm is only so long. Enter the selfie stick. But all kidding aside, I don't care about selfie sticks. I don't even care about selfies. I would ask you, why do we take selfies in the first place? So we can share them. So we can share them. I take a picture of me and Win here at this conference. Boom, I'm going to upload it to your app. I'm going to take a picture of me and Meg. Boom, I'm going to send it to my friend. Wish you were here. I'm having fun with Meg from the Federal Reserve, believe it or not. And, yeah. How that's fun, I don't know. But anyway, so we share. And so the point is, this is a silly fad, this selfie stick, but the trend behind it is not going away. The trend is sharing. Okay. The other big trend that I want to share with you is the appeal of real. The appeal of real. Most of us don't live in Leave It to Beaver land anymore, and we would like to see people who look like us. Families aren't one size fits all anymore, right? So families come in all shapes and sizes, whether it's single parents or divorced parents or step parents, etc., you know, grandparents. Did you guys see the Cheerios ad last year on television? If you didn't, it features a white mom and a black dad and an adorable little girl. And the little girl says, Mommy, why do we eat Cheerios? And Mommy says, because it's good for Daddy's heart. And then the little girl goes into the living room where Dad's asleep on the couch, and she pours the whole box of Cheerios on his chest because it's good for his heart. That was the end of the commercial. Never once did they go, and check out our cool interracial family. They didn't have to. They just showed a family. Honey Maid, which is the nation's premier brand of graham crackers, is doing a campaign right now that features no actors at all. It features only real people, real families. And their tagline is, a wholesome snack for all wholesome families. And one of the families that they feature is a gay couple with children, wholesome dadvertising from Honey Maid. The reason they do this, folks, is because it works. Because people like to see the real. Use contemporary imagery. Show people as they really are. There's a reason why every ad that you're ever going to ever see for retirement services features people with gray hair. Because at that stage of your life, that's what you relate to. We all gravitate to images we can relate to. So show people as they really are. So for example, 40% of millennials have 4 or more tattoos. Not a tattoo, 4 or more. They don't just have ink, they have a lot of ink. So as a marketing professional, I look at this in a stat like that and I go, an entire generation has ink. then why don't we show that? And there's a bank in Philadelphia, bank local from East River Bank. So it says Philly's most advanced neighborhood bank. This is their billboard. I love this billboard because I think most advanced neighborhood bank is sort of code for progressive. I bet they have a lot of young people, a lot of young customers, etc. So it makes sense that they would feature a woman with kind of a cool, edgy haircut. But look at her left arm. She doesn't just have ink, she has an entire sleeve. And this is a bank. And again, they're not doing it because it's hurting business. They're doing it because it's putting the welcome mat out for their customers. Keep it short. Did you guys see the research last year that says the goldfish now has greater attention than Americans? Right? No, I'm not kidding. Like we clock in at like 8.6 seconds that we can focus on something and a goldfish can go 9. So we're all like drinking from the fire hose. We have more information coming at us than we can handle. So one of the things that's evolving is shorter ways to get information. Have you heard of listicles? Listicles are exactly what that sounds like. It is a list that is masquerading as an article. It's not really an article, it's just a list with maybe one opening sentence. So, for example, 50 perfect toys for men, right? You see that there. What to get the man in your life for Christmas? Here's 50 perfect toys. And then it's just a list. Right? Top 20 places to retire, and then it's just a list. But the other thing that's important is it is important that it be shareable. And you see this everywhere, all the different ways that you can share it. But once you find information like that, you got to keep it short, but then I want to share it with Meg or Win, etc. Lastly, understand this. Helping beats selling. If you help me, you're going to sell me. If you help me, you don't even have to sell me. We were doing a focus group one time for financial services, and there was a 28-year-old man who said, you know, we don't need any more information. We have this thing called the internet. What we need is advice. And whether you're a bank, or whether you're a CPA, or any other iteration of financial professional services, this is the business that you're in. You're not in the business of peddling a goods or a service. You are in the business of guidance. That's what we want. We don't want to have to become you. We want you to tell us what to do. We don't want information, we want advice. And if you help me, you will sell me. So here's 5 things that you can do right now that don't cost $1 million and don't take a year to get off the ground. You can figure out your fab. Market your benefits, not your features or your attributes. You can solicit testimonials from happy, satisfied women customers and put them on your website because women will find those. And you can keep your marketing messages short. Use pictures, use graphics. This is why I believe that Snapchat and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram are doing better, and Pinterest, than other forms of media, because it's all about graphics. Explore ways that you can try to customize your products or services or the customer experience. And make sure that your social media platforms are up to date, because we like to share and we like to be social. And if you're posting articles, don't post articles that sell. Post articles that educate and inform and help me. So, with that, I'm wrapped up, and I think we're going to take some time for questions if we have some questions. And I think also one quick thing. I've got a couple of books. They are both unbelievable bestsellers. But 100 of you are going to randomly win a copy of the green book here, Crafting the Customer Experience for People Not Like You, but only if you get your badge scanned. And then tomorrow, 100 of you are going to find out that you won this. And then you're going to be a bazillionaire because you're going to have a best-selling book. So, do we have any questions?
We want you to make a prediction.
Well, you want me to make a prediction?
You said in 2041.
Uh-huh. What race, he's not Mike, so I'll say it. The question is, what race will be the majority in the year 2041? That's an excellent question. The statistics that I have read is that there really won't be a majority anymore. There will actually be larger groups of, we will be sort of equalized, if you will, we being whites, let's say. So I say that because I'm white. So if whites shrink to, I'm making this up, 38% of the population, and Hispanics are 27% of the population, and blacks are 24% of the population, etc. What you've got is a much more equal, kaleidoscope, if you will. So I haven't seen any stats on like any one particular race or ethnicity dominating. It's really going to become much more fragmented than that. And we're already seeing that. Did that answer that question? Any others?
Not at this point.
I'm around till about 3:30 today, so if you do have any questions, then you can come see me in the hallway and we can chat. You have been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.